Ben Asgari joins us on the phone. Ben, we've just been talking to Adam Trinder. He said the track's probably going to rate a 5 today at Caulfield. Is that your feeling?
Yeah, it's a beautiful sunny day in Caulfield. I'm just out the front of my place at the moment, not too far away from heading to the track, and not a cloud in the sky if you look towards where the weather's coming from. And compared to what we've been facing in Melbourne in the previous month or so, it's much warmer. So it wouldn't shock me if we got to a 4, but I think we'll certainly start the card on a 5, and depending on whether this weather sticks around, it might even improve slightly. So a bit of a change to what we've been used to in the past month or so.
Mate, the PB Lawrence goes at 4:40 your time, 6:40 for us. We just spoke to Adam Trinder and he wasn't really tipping us Mystic Journey at the $2. But when I look at this field, I struggle to find horses to beat her. So if she is going to go down, do we go back to our old mate Hartnell as the chance?
I think spot on. If she's going to go down, I think Hartnell's the most likely horse to defeat her. It's a fascinating contest because Mystic Journey, I think at this point in time, is probably the best horse in Australia at the moment, but she's underdone as the trainer, I'm sure, outlined to you, in the sense that she's got bigger targets later in the spring, and she's far from completely wound up. Soft 5, I think, should be okay, but she's no doubt better on a slightly firmer surface, and that barrier draws another little interesting side note as well, because her best performances when she sat wide against the pattern at Moonee Valley in the spring last year when she won the All-Star Mile, she had galloping room and was wide. She did win an Australian Guineas from an inside draw, but had a nice split. So I've had to give a tip in the race for Racing.com. I've tipped her on top, but I don't think it's a betting race. I think there are 6 or 7 better betting options on the day. And it wouldn't surprise me if a horse like Hartnell, who is outstanding at the track and distance, he's won an All Stakes there. He won this race 2 years ago. He ran second in this race first up last year. It wouldn't surprise me if he beat her, and if Mystic Journey then came out and strung a few together later on down in preparation.
Mate, the Cosette Stakes is the 6th on the card, and we see Lyre returning to Caulfield. And look, barrier 4, it sounds very advantageous. It could be even more so because the rail's out 10 metres. Now, Caulfield being Caulfield, if the rail's out 10, are we expecting it to be up and in for most of the day?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, because in the past few years, rail in this position at Caulfield, it's actually been an advantage to get out in the middle and be swooping home. But the last couple of times we've seen there, it's been, as you've said, it's actually been an advantage to be on speed and nearer to the pace, and it's been hard to make that wide swooping run. So we are going to have to monitor that pattern. Fascinating addition to Quizette. I'm a little shattered that Brooklyn Hustle's been scratched. I loved her trial. I love the way she's come back this preparation. So she's one to watch out for in the coming weeks, Brooklyn Hustle. Lyre's an interesting runner. I dare say she's being set for 1,000 guineas over 1,600 metres later this preparation, potentially even a Maya Classic. And judging on her jump out this preparation, I'm not sure she's as forward as she was last time in, and she may just be being prepared for a race over further. So I think she might be vulnerable, even though on form she is clearly the one to beat in the class horse. So I'm going for a couple of horses I think will be a bit sharper earlier in their preparation. One's the Magic Millions winner, Exhilarate. I loved her recent Flemington jump out. The other is Lankan Star, who also impressed in a Flemington jump out. She's probably going to be ahead of horses like Exhilarate and Lyre on the speed map, and she looks as though she's come back really well, the horse that ran second to Lyre in the Blue Diamond. So at the prices, at each way odds, I'm going to go with Exhilarate and Lankan Star.
7th on the card's a Regal Roller, and you talk about horses getting up and in. Be Good to Your Mother is one of those. Now, there's a few horses between him, the old 5-year-old, and the rail, because he's got barrier 8. But I thought if he could get there without burning too much petrol, round Caulfield, nice even tempo, is going to be hard to catch.
This is a fascinating race for that very reason. I think you'll find the front. I don't think there's much speed in the race, because a horse like Fundamentals, I doubt they're going to want to kick up with a big weight first up from a spell. So I think he'll be able to just cruise across, take his time getting across, probably sit away from the rail and lead at his own leisure. Be Good to Your Mother. Really interesting race. Behemoth, I think, is the horse that's best suited at 1,200 metres. He was terrific in the Lightning Stakes in Adelaide first up. He's a Group 1 Goodwood place getter at 1,200, and he's got a dynamic turn of foot off a slow speed, so that's probably going to suit him. But it's just hard to know how good this horse Be Good to Your Mother is, and he keeps answering every challenge that's set of him by trainer Daniel Bowman, and his recent work has been scary good. His jump out was outstanding at Horsham, and then he worked with his stablemate working from home, and I know the trainer was a little bit worried having an exhibition gallop with working from home because he thought that she's such a sharp, fast track worker, she might make him look a little bit silly in a public gallop, and it was the opposite. He made her look a little bit silly. I think he's come back a better horse again. So, fascinating contest. This race has thrown up some great horses in the past couple of years. 2 years ago, it was Vega Magic beating Brave Smash and Santa Ana Lane. Last year, we had Osborne Bulls beating Land of Plenty. Regardless of the result today, I think there's going to be some nice horses coming out of the race going forward, and it'll produce some Group 1 winners throughout the spring. I'm leaning the way of Be Good to Your Mother, given the way I think he's come back and improved again, but it shapes as a fascinating contest and one of the real highlights of the program.
Mate, a winner earlier in the program for you potentially could be race 4, Age of Chivalry. Damien Lane's always been a good rider, but he's been to Japan, and I get the feeling, Ben, he's going to come back even more confident. He was on a superstar strike rate coming out of Japan, so I see him as being a real positive over the spring.
Yeah, for sure. He's one of the real class riders in Melbourne, along with Ben Mellon, who's back to his best and back from injury. I think he's a jockey to watch closely over the spring. Damien Lane, of course, is world class. Mark Zara, Damien Oliver, Craig Williams will be back shortly, and then you've got the Sydney boys, Hugh Bowman, Kieran McAvoy, James McDonald. So a lot of quality to ride in Victoria over the Spring Carnival, and Damien Lane's right up there. And he gets the ride aboard Age of Chivalry today, who on a tough program, and there's a good stat thrown up by Grace Ramage on racing.com during the week. Of the 41 horses contesting the stakes races, 28 of them are first up. So it's a tricky program. So therefore, I think some of the better punting options lie in the support races. And one of those support races is the 4th race on the program, this 1,400-metre contest. And Age of Chivalry with Luckless first up from a spell. He was held up on a turn, had to switch back to the inferior ground along the inside, and I thought the effort was full of merit. 1,400 second up looks perfect. Second up, he was a winner second up last preparation, and in 2 1,400-metre runs, he was close up behind Mr. Quickie and also the Inevitable, which looks pretty handy form. So if he can bring his best, he should get a nice run on the speed map. I think on a tricky program, he looks the best bet of the day, Age of Chivalry in race 4.
Okay, also going Ben for Rat with the Gold Tooth, Exhilarates and Lankan Star as a split bet in the 6th, and Be Good to Your Mother, who we think might lead the 7th. Before we let you go, mate, just a quick tip for us. What chance by tomorrow morning do the Wallabies hold the Bledisloe Cup for the first time in about half a millennium or something?
Yeah, definitely not the man to ask about that one, but I would give them slim to none, I think. But I have genuinely no idea, but I wouldn't be giving them a good hope, that's for sure.
Oh, Ben, I love that. I was hoping you were going to say that we're going to win so we could have a laugh, but never mind. Mate, thanks for today. Have a good day at Caulfield. Thanks for giving us some winners here on the Punters Lounge first thing on a Saturday morning, Benny.